This is the ZimaBlade NAS kit, and in this video, I'm going to give you my honest opinion about the capabilities of this device and where it fits into the home lab ecosystem. I spent many hours deploying applications and configuring hard drives and seeing what this kit could do. Full disclosure, the ZimaBlade team did send this NAS kit over to me for free, and as such, this video has been marked as containing a sponsorship, but the ZimaBlade team does not have any input on the words that are coming out of my mouth. There are many different things I want to cover in this video. I want to go over what is great about this device. What do I like about it? I want to talk about the initial setup experience, the specifications for the hardware, and then I want to get into the bad news. But first, we're going to do good news because I like good news. This NAS kit has one-click deployment applications, and I was skeptical at first, believe me. I come from the world of Docker Compose and manually writing those files to deploy my applications. When I hear something like one-click deployment, naturally I am skeptical. But once I got this system up and running, I got into the CasaOS interface, and I was able to deploy applications very easily. One of the first things that I deployed was Jellyfin, because I wanted to know if this little device was capable of being a home media server. I know many of us who get into the home labbing world want to build a home media server. It's a great entry point, and there's so many different applications to tinker with and explore in the home media world. So I needed to know if this little device could play movies and television shows. And much to my surprise, it can. I ran some benchmark tests against it using quicksync.ktz.me. That is an amazing website developed by Alex over at KTZ Systems. It allows you to benchmark your computer with an Intel processor and an Intel integrated graphics processor to figure out what your CPU is capable of in terms of encoding, transcoding, and decoding. This little Intel Atom E3950 processor is capable of encoding 1080p videos, and it can almost do 2 simultaneous transcodes, which I thought was pretty cool considering this is a very low power CPU, and this CPU came out in 2016, so it's almost a decade old at this point. And I have to mention that CasaOS looks really clean. It's very straightforward. It's easy to understand how to use the operating system and what its capabilities are. I've never used CasaOS before. This was my first experience with it, and I was pleasantly surprised. I like things that are minimal, clean. They don't try to do too many things at one time, but the things that they do advertise, they do them well. And I think CasaOS meets that requirement. I was able to set up AdGuard, and I installed Home Assistant on this tiny computer. And there's so much more that you can do. I personally am a big fan of note-taking and organizing my ideas, so I would deploy a self-hosted note-taking application. And as I'm learning more about Kubernetes, I'm also learning more about CI/CD pipelines and Git repositories, so you could also deploy your own Git repository in your home network using this device. Or you could even use it as like an RDP jump box back to the rest of your home network. Even though this device is tiny and it uses DDR3 memory, it still is quite capable. It can run all of those applications simultaneously and still have room to grow, which I think is really cool for anyone trying to get into home labbing and experience some of these applications, tinker and learn more. Alongside those applications, you can also use this device as your own personal network attached storage, hence the name. It's a NAS kit, so that might be considered one of the primary uses. I did test the data transfer speeds, and I got 100 megabytes per second, which is about average for a 1 gigabit NIC, which is on this device. So as long as your network is gigabit Ethernet, you can expect to transfer at 100 megabytes per second, which might not be great if you're doing active video editing and you need really high data transfer speeds for scrubbing and making changes to video files. But if you need something that's more closely related to cold storage, you need extra space on your network for your data, and you want to share that data across multiple devices, really anything that's connected to your network, then I think that the ZimaBlade NAS kit does that really well. And then coupled with the fact that you can run all these other applications, it makes for a very powerful, tiny device. And if you don't want to run CasaOS, the ZimaBlade 7700 supports other operating systems. You could run Windows on this if you want to. You could run the Raspberry Pi operating system if you want to. You can install pfSense, OpenSense. There are a lot of possibilities to go where you want to go with this device. You really just have to tap into your creativity. And with that, let's get into the initial setup experience. It wasn't exactly plug and play. The quick start guide says to browse to CasaOS.local in your browser on another computer on your network. But there's a caveat. There are some DNS settings that might prevent your home network from picking up the ZimaBlade device on the network. And that was true for my home network. I was not able to get to the device via CasaOS.local. And then in the quick start guide, it says if you have trouble with this, then you can go to another website to get helpful information. Unfortunately, that website is 404 not found. It won't load, but it's really not a big deal. You just simply use the IP address to connect to it, and then you can figure out the networking side later. I only wanted to mention that because if you were looking to open the instruction manual and just get started right away, your experience might be hit or miss based upon how your home network is configured. And I guess I should mention, before you can even get it set up on your network, you do have to install the 16 gigabyte memory kit that comes with this NAS kit. And there are no instructions on how to do so. I think if you're watching this video, you probably have installed memory in a computer before. It was very clear to me that I needed to install it, but what was unclear was how to open the case, and there are no instructions on how to open the case. So after fiddling with the NAS blade for about 15 minutes trying to figure it out, I finally realized that you could pry apart the plastic casing that was surrounding the ports on either side and remove that plastic casing, which then revealed 2 Phillips head screws that you had to take out to get the clear section of the case off, and then you can install the memory. I think that's worth mentioning because it's something that is imperative for the device to be able to run. If it doesn't have memory, it's not going to power on, it's not going to work. And so in my mind, the quick start guide should show you explicitly like, hey, like, here's your NAS kit. This is the first thing you need to do. Pop open the case, put the memory in, it goes in like this, click it into place, put the case back together. But instead, you kind of have to figure it out on your own. And I'll talk more about that later, why I actually think that's a good thing. And since this is a NAS kit, I really thought that it might come with screws for hard drives. Now, you do get the hard drive tray that supports the 2 3.5-inch hard drives. However, you don't get any screws. Since this is marketed as a NAS kit, I would really like to see some screws that fit this particular enclosure and ensures that your 3.5-inch hard drives are nice and secure. Because it's missing the screws, I think this NAS kit comes 97% complete. And speaking of hard drives, the CasaOS does a great job at recognizing new drives attached to the system. As soon as you plug them up and power on the device, CasaOS is going to detect that you have new hard drives and you can use them right away. But, and this is a semi-big but, it's not going to allow you to do a RAID configuration. That's just a limitation of CasaOS. Really has nothing to do with the NAS kit other than it uses CasaOS. In order to set up a RAID configuration, you're going to have to go to the underlying Linux operating system that comes installed by default. It's a Debian-based operating system, and I had to install Cockpit to set up my mirrored ZFS pool for 2 hard drives. I had 2 6 terabyte hard drives that I had retired from my existing NAS, and I wanted to set them up within this NAS kit. So I had to install Cockpit, and from there I was able to configure the drives. Now, I did run into a few snafus, I had some issues, but it wasn't related to this NAS kit or CasaOS. It was actually brought upon by me. I had originally had these drives set up in an existing ZFS pool, and I did not remove them from that pool before I pulled them from the system, so trying to import them into a new ZFS pool proved a little bit tricky. I do want to talk about the ports available to you and the expansion available to you with this NAS kit. It does have a USB 3.0 port, it has a USB-C port that supports data, it supports video, and it supports power. You also get a 1 gigabyte NIC. You get 2 SATA ports with a power port for the SATA drives. The ZimaBlade also has a mini display port, and the kit comes with a mini display to HDMI adapter, which makes it easy to set up and connect to a monitor. There's also a PCI Express 2.0 with 4 lanes, so you can add additional devices like a wireless card or more SATA port. You could attach a graphics card to this device. You can expand this device with a USB-C dock. I had a USB-C dock laying around that I use for my MacBook Pro. I plugged this up to the USB-C port, and just as advertised, it does support data and video and power. I was able to expand the ZimaBlade 7700 with additional USB ports, another network card, multiple display ports, which was really cool. If you're looking for some more expandability, you have that option. And finally, let's talk about the bad news with this device. It is limited because it is so small, and it's using hardware that is from many years ago. You are limited in its capabilities. For example, when I did some transcoding tests with Jellyfin, I learned that the ZimaBlade is not capable of handling 4K video. It's also not capable of handling HEVC 10-bit encoding. And in terms of transcoding, it's only going to be able to transcode one 1080p stream at a time. If you're doing direct play, meaning if your device supports the codec that the video is encoded with, then this little thing will play it no problem. I was able to run multiple streams with direct play, and the CPU usage barely moved. The other thing that might be considered bad news is that the hard drive expansion is limited. This kit by default supports 2 3.5-inch hard drives. In theory, you could use some really high capacity hard drives and have tons of space. But if you were trying to run 3, 4, 5, 6 hard drives, you're not really going to be able to do that with this device. The final thing that I think might be a turnoff for some people was the initial setup experience. I mentioned earlier the DNS issues that I had with trying to connect to the system, and that really wasn't a huge deal for me, but I immediately updated the system once I logged in. I get kind of persnickety about things being updated, like I want my stuff updated even though admittedly I fail to do it. When I logged into CasaOS, it told me that it was out of date. And so naturally I was like, okay, update now, let's do this. And once it updated, it broke CasaOS. I was just dead in the water. So then I'm searching the web trying to figure out what has broken CasaOS, how can I get it back to a working state, because I didn't have a backup or anything. And eventually I was able to figure it out. What happens in the update is the Docker version gets updated and it goes beyond the maximum supported version for CasaOS. And once Docker gets to that version or beyond, it breaks Casa. And I can see that being a huge problem if you are setting this up for the first time and you're excited to deploy applications and then you're thinking like, well, I should probably update it, it's out of date. You do that and then it's broken. And now you spend the next 30 minutes to an hour trying to figure out how to undo what you just did. And to bring this all home, I really don't think any of those bad things that I mentioned are that bad. Because this is a home lab. And ultimately, I think a home lab is a place of growth. It's a place of trial and error. It's a place of community. And so these things not working perfectly or you having to figure out how to get to your desired state is ultimately a good thing for you. Even if it might be frustrating in the moment, I really think that that is a big part of the appeal of a home lab. And that leads me to where this device fits into the home lab ecosystem. I think that the ZimaBlade NAS kit is perfect for someone who wants to get into home labbing. I think it's perfect for someone who wants to tinker and explore what computers are capable of. They want to learn what applications they can deploy and they want to configure those applications. And they kind of want to get started in an easy way. You start in the shallow end and swim to the deep end. The NAS kit is a great stepping stone for that learning process. But you are going to outgrow this device. I don't think that the ZimaBlade NAS kit is particularly great for someone who's already established in the home lab world. You likely already have a NAS, you likely already have a media server, you likely already are running pfSense, OpenSense, and Pi-hole. And so I think that if you're an established home labber and you're buying something like this, you're really gonna need a specific use case for it. I personally think that's what I'm going to use it for, is backups for my existing systems. And I also have an idea where I want to install Steam Link on this and stream my gaming library to my television. And I want to see how this thing stacks up doing something like that. I think it's great if you have a specific use case. And I think it's great if you want to get into home labbing and you want to connect with other people who are in the home lab world and learn more about computer systems in general, which is so much fun and challenging and frustrating, but then simultaneously so rewarding when you figure out this problem that you've been working on for so long. After saying all that, I also want to say thank you, because that is a wrap on this video. I am so grateful if you stuck around, you made it to the end. I hope that you learned something. I hope that this video was helpful and encouraging. I hope that it inspires you to tinker more. I think that we are so much stronger as a community if people get involved and they talk to each other and share information about new technology. But for now, I'm going to take a break and I will see y'all on the next one.